What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology, the tutorial action, the 4-minute series. Had a lot of positive feedback about the Isis one, so we're going to move in onto the Greek one here. Unlike Egyptian, every Greek god has exactly the same opener, in my opinion. I don't feel like there's a different opener based on Zeus, Hades, Poseidon. The difference is Poseidon has lure, so you can have a lot more opportunities to have your 900 food starts, but should be aware that you might need to be doing other stuff as well anyways. So let's jump into it. Show off a first one here. We've got ourselves a nice starting hunt at this point. So we're going to jump straight onto the food over there. Follow that up with killing off this bad boy and getting ourselves this. Effectively here, we have 900 food, so we really want to be advancing as fast as we possibly can, utilizing just the one little spot that we have at this point. So we're going to be going for a 4-minute, and I believe it's 4-minute and 4-second advance time. Could be wrong about that, but I think that's what it is. As this giraffe is moving away from us, it's making me very, very sad. This village is going to come over here. I might be shooting this giraffe over, actually. So I shoot with this villager here. Just make sure it's killed relatively close to the granary. That's kind of important. And effectively here, what you're doing is getting yourself just enough villages to make yourself get to the next age. 900 food is going to effectively leave you with a perfect amount, 400 food. Effectively, that's what you're going to be left with here. Exactly 400 food, or at least you should. That villager should not be doing that. Alright, let's throw ourselves a house down. And now once we got 8 villagers on food, we're just going to move everyone over onto wood. And we're going to get ourselves a temple over here. Temple. And this wood income we're going to be getting is going to be vitally important for us in the classical age. This is why we do it now, because we want to be getting ourselves 400 wood as soon as we hit the classical age. Now, alternatively, you could be throwing villagers onto gold as well if you want to go for a 2-town center here. But I'm going to do it this way. You can see this food is starting to get very close to being finished on both of these locations here. We got our 5 villagers on wood. Temple is up. That villager goes back. And then the villagers should be finishing up with this hunt right about now. And you can see exactly 400 food. We're a little bit late there because our hunt was a bit far off. But that's the build. That's the 4-minuter. You get yourself... Actually, I should probably show that you put 7 villagers on wood here and 7 villagers over here onto food, and then that's effectively the build. And when you hit this classical age, you should be able to afford yourself a military academy, an archery range, a Jason, and an Odysseus straight away, followed up with a house. I saved the house until after I put the buildings down. You don't have to, but I just feel like it's a little bit more efficient that way. And you can build the house with this villager over here. In fact, I'll just build the house now and show you all the way up to 4 minutes. I think that's basically going to get you everything you need there. You can go through Hermes as well and put 2 villagers on the temple, 8 villagers on the wood, 1 villager on the gold. And I believe that would leave you with 5 villagers on food, able to afford Jason still, as well as Odysseus, but just Centaur being produced at the start there. So a really, really good start. We'll move on to the next one. Alrighty, so we've got ourselves the 600 food variant now. So just like with let's go over here. Just like with Isis, we want to make sure that we don't finish this hunt up too early and have to be moving around the map with those villagers. We want those villagers to be moving somewhere nice and close after that hunt is finished. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this secondary hunt here very, very early to be eaten instead of anything else. The big difference is instead of putting villagers over onto wood straight away after we get to 8, we're going to be going up to 10 villagers on food in the early stages of this game. So you're going to notice I'm actually leaving only 3 villagers on this food because we really want this food to be completed at 4 minutes or 3 minutes 15 when we're going to be advancing. So this one's 15 seconds slower. You get an extra villager out. I'm going to try and shoot this giraffe nice and close over here. Hopefully it cooperates. Doesn't look like it wants to, but that's fine. As these villagers will be happily moving onto this location here. Get that auto queue up here. This guy come over here. I leave this pig here just in case we need to eat it. There is a world in which you have to eat that pig. I'm not sure if it's in this world or if it's in a world where you start with a little bit less food in the early game here. So now we get this 100 gold here. We can throw the house down, and then we can throw our temple down after this. As soon as those resources want to come in, that is. There we go. So we'll throw that up. One thing that I would recommend with doing this build is getting yourself a little bit of extra favor. So if you are going for an Athena rush with this, which is good, you can go for the Athena rush. You can get yourself out a Minotaur here by getting 1 favor out of this villager here who's gathering from the temple. You can see that this has still got itself 100 food, so we've done that really nicely. And we'll get ourselves 1 more villager after this. Get ourselves 1 favor. We should be able to advance here after all is said and done. And then these villagers will obviously move over onto the wood. Okay, up we go. We have that favor now. You're going to come over here. These villagers here are going to come over onto wood. This villager needs to stop being silly. And now we can actually get ourselves that extra house as well, nice and early here. And you're going to notice that our food has skyrocketed a little bit. And that is effectively the build. You're going to have plenty of wood to chuck both of your buildings up at the start of the game. You might have to move over to try and find some extra hunt somewhere, but that's life. You're going to always have to move to next hunt, but you can see how much resources we actually have here. You can get yourselves Jason, Minotaur, plus the military barracks as we're coming up to 4 minutes here. You can see that it's going to be able to be afforded, and you're going to be able to do a very, very early attack on your opponents here with that kind of thing. So that is the 600 food variant. You probably, if you got, like you can see here that this giraffe only had 50 food left in it. So say you have a 500 food variant or a 400 food variant. I would recommend those 3 villagers that eat that food to jump onto the pigs, while your other villagers are eating that second hunt out here. Like say if it's on Oasis and you have like a 2 zebra spawn, come out onto the giraffe with these villagers and and then just eat a goat or something like that on those sort of things. So let's move on to the next build. This is going to be the hunt out of your line of sight and see how we can go with that. Alrighty, we got no food on this map. Great. So we've got to go find it. We send the villagers over to chickens straight away so they're not idle. Do not be building a granary there. That seems silly. If your villagers do overgather, okay, that's where our hunt is. Fantastic. If your villagers do overgather here, then it's fine. If you do, sorry, if they have to walk back to the town center. If you do find the hunt really early here, I recommend 5 villagers on wood. On food here. And then go onto wood. Sometimes you might need to put more, and things get a little bit more awkward. But this should be enough to support your villager production, get everything you need out. You really only want to be putting like max 2 villagers on this wood line here as well. And we found our second hunt up the top there. Happy days. So we're going to be looking to drop the mining camp here. And we're gonna have to walk over here and drop the next kind of thing. If you get lucky and have this pine tree here, you might be able to make this a little bit easier as well by taking the villager off of gold here, because you might need to do that. But should be fine. One thing you have to do in these situations as well, if you've only got 600 food, I keep on getting idle town center time for no reason. That's not that bad though. It's only half a second. Okay, we're gonna throw a house down here. Gold. Let's walk over here and shoot this giraffe. It's in a nice spot. Now we have the gold to get the temple up, and we're going to chop the temple down. Happy days. That should be enough time there to do that. We get the next villagers out. They're going to come over here. These villagers jump onto the goat on this situation here. Because we don't want them to walk anywhere, we want them to just be gathering. Even though goats are slower, especially without husbandry, it's well worth it to be getting yourself a solid advance time in these situations. As the final villager is going to make its way over here, or second final villager is going to be making its way over here. We got 8 villagers over there now, so maybe it's best to be going onto wood here or something like that. These villagers are all going to come over onto wood here as well. And we're going to advance. So again, these situations here, if you're going to be going for like a 430 in these situations, you want to get yourself that extra favor out of the temple so you can afford a minotaur here, so you can go and kill your opponent. But also, you might want to be thinking maybe a couple less villagers on. I should pause now. Maybe a couple less villagers on food here. Well, if we take 3 off of wood actually at this point and put them over onto gold, you have 5 villagers on wood, 5 villagers on gold. That's enough to drop a second town center. Oftentimes fast 2 town centers are the way to go here on maps like Oasis. So you could easily grab that there and then start farming, eating your herdables, eating your chicken, having eaten all of this. So effectively here, this is the 430 variant. You can't get any faster than 430 on maps where you don't start with hunt, and this is going to be basically, you're not going to be advancing slow on Oasis maps anymore, so long as you find that secondary hunt relatively quickly. I found it within half of the circle around my base. There are going to be times at which you won't find it until here, at which case you might need to drop a granary down here and things will be a little bit more awkward for you and you might have to go a little bit slower. But the general idea here is the same. You put 2 villagers on wood, you put 2 villagers on gold. You make sure that the gold villagers build your house and the temple, and you should be fine. All right, so we've got the Mediterranean build and your Anatolia build to come, or Anatolia Midgard. So we'll get that happening soon. All right, so we got Mediterranean here for y'all. Now, there are 2 versions of this build. There is the greedy version, which is eat your pigs. And there is the safe version, which is build yourself a granary. I prefer the safe version every single day of the week. I see all the top players kind of doing the greedy version, and they all get idle talents at a time. No one hits a clean 430. So I just don't believe that it's worth it. Not only that, if you don't find the pigs, you get into a lot of trouble. So I think it's just easier to just have this build in your back pocket and just say, this is the one we're going to go for. It's just that slight bit slower in terms of fishing ship output, but in the end, both builds are going to get you. Both builds are going to be getting you effectively 9 fishing ship and a 430 advance is what you're aiming for. And technically, Poseidon should probably go for the other build because you have Lure, which will raise the consistency a lot. But effectively, the build is 4 villagers on food, 5 villagers on wood, and then the rest go to food. And you get yourself 2 fishing ships here. The fishing ship ordering is important. 2 fishing ships and then a house over here. And then, yeah, you can just kind of auto queue from now. Make sure you're going to get this next fishing ship here. There is another house timing that comes up as well. Notice this villager is getting confused where it wants to go. Always important to make sure your wood villagers are not being confused. If they aren't smart, they will misbehave and you will be upset at them. So we get another couple of fishing ships out. There's always going to be 9 close spots on Mediterranean, so you want to be getting those as best as you can. If you do have hunt, probably worth eating the hunt as well. We're going to have to get us against. Look at this villager being silly. What can you do? You just can't get good help these days. We're going to stop building fishing ships now. Get ourselves a house. Get ourselves a temple is what we want first. Okay, so the temple comes down. Then we're going to drop a house. We've got ourselves... the 6 fishing ships there. Please stop being silly. House comes down. A little bit of reorganizing there on your villages. 1 more villager out of this, or get up to those. Get yourself some more fishing ships started now that your house is up. Temple comes down. Come back over onto food here. And we're going to be looking to advance, so garrison your fishing ships, garrison these guys, advance, come here, you can go onto separate wood locations as well, and you're looking for roughly, you're looking for roughly 6 villages on gold, and well, this looks like 11 on wood, but you're going to be making this next villager come back over onto gold here, so you have 7 on gold in the end. Get yourself that final fishing ship, get yourself pickaxe, and build yourself a house here. Dock comes up, and then we come back over, and then you're going to be able to start pumping your boats out very, very quickly here. Kind of. I mean, at this point, I can only afford this, but that's because I built the double storehouse, which you might not want to do. But okay, so that's kind of the build. A little bit more than 4 minutes there for you, but effectively, that's going to be the cleanest way. This wood here was really awkward for me. Maybe I should have put the mining camp down here at the start. This is a much better wood line, or even closer to this big fat surface of trees. These guys were just being silly for the whole time while they were trying to work their way through the trees. But that's effectively the build. Like I said, there is another variant where you eat your pigs instead, and you can get yourself out a little bit more fishing ship early, but in the end you still get 9 fishing ship with this build regardless. And now we've got 1 more, which is your hive hunt. So your hive fish map, so Anatolia and Midgard. Alrighty, so same thing here. We're going to be coming over onto our food in these situations. If you have hunt, which there is always going to be hunt here, so I'm going to be searching, trying to find it first before I drop my thing, and there it is. So we're going to come up here and eat that. Eating hunt is normally better than not eating hunt, so let's do that. And then we're going to jump onto this wood line here, looking for kind of the middle fish here. So this spot here is going to be your middle fish. And get that boar killed. Now that should be completely fine there to continue that. Now this is one thing that I know that most Greek players are probably going to say this is pointless. You're actually behind in these situations. But this is more of a convenience factor for me. I don't want to screw up on my timings to get my villager over there. So I'm just going to build myself a storehouse here and have a slight delay on my fishing ship production so that this villager can get me my next dock on this bottom side of the map. You'll see that it makes a lot of sense with what happens with the top villager, the villager that goes to the top. We're always looking to kind of make that walking time sorted out. So we're going to get ourselves 2 fishing ships here and then get ourselves a house. Going for 7 villagers on wood. So if we can get ourselves this house now, that'd be nice. And we can. Fantastic. Okay, and now we've got 7 villagers on wood. After that villager finishes the house, it will be 7. We want to bring this, the 8th, potential, what would be normally the 8th villager on wood here, up to drop a, I'm having just a little bit of idle time here, which is annoying me. Shouldn't be having that. So we send that villager up to drop the dock. Like that ball there is in the way. We're going to keep putting villagers onto keep putting villagers onto wood for the time being here. Okay. That was a terrible, terrible house placement there. That is what it is. This dock comes up. Happy days. So we've got 10 villagers on wood now. That's enough. 10 villagers is the correct amount. We go into food after this. This villager builds us our house. I'm going to cut that fishing ship for the time being, because otherwise we're going to get housed. We do not want that. We do not want to be housed. So now we get the temple out over here. You can see how that makes sense. We're spending all of that villager's time building instead of walking all the way back. And this should allow us to get a relatively clean advance time here. As we get that final fishing ship out of the bottom. I turned off auto queue there. We'll have to throw another house down, so let's do that. One more villager comes out. We're going for a 5:15 here. As that dock finishes, we're going to be getting ourselves another dock here on this top side. We should be able to advance here, so let's garrison everything up. Up we go, and that is roughly the build. It's a little bit messy, but it is what it is. You can't win them all. And then we continue getting these fishing ships until we have them all. This villager down the bottom is going to drop the dock over here as well for us. And then we're going to come back onto this temple, I guess. Get ourselves an extra. I can probably build another house over here with this villager. And that's perfect there. We get ourselves hand axe, we get ourselves pickaxe, and we are off to the race. So a little bit more than 4 minutes here on Anatolia, because it's a little bit more in detail, a little bit thorough. But that's effectively the Greek Anatolia build to get yourself roughly a 5:15, 18 fishing ship advance time. With 4 docks. Like I say, this storehouse is probably unnecessary, but it's just a convenience factor thing for me, because I feel like every time I play, I forget to send this villager over, and then this dock gets up too late. So it's just a convenience factor. And also that villager there can come back over here and potentially do some side builds on here if you want to build military academies and make some hoplites to attack this side, while this villager can do the same on the left side. So you have a little bit of an option there moving forward a little bit later, because they've both got something to do. So over here you get the temple, and over here you get the military academies. But in the end, that's all we got. That's every single build you should need for Greek. And luckily, it's not just Zeus. It's Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades can do all of these builds and have just as much success. Anyways, if you enjoyed this series and enjoying the tutorials and everything, please let me know in the comments. Let me know what god you want to see next. And I'll see you guys in the next one.